All right, well, what I did was I marked these. These are single zero biscuits. And you can see that mark there. All right, so I'm going to need 4 of them. I'm going to take 5, 1 extra, because you never know what's going to happen. So I'm going to cut these on my bandsaw, and after that, we'll be back. Okay, for this Frood biscuit joiner, I've got this set up here. I've got 2 pieces that are cut at an angle. This is my test piece over here. All right, and I measured where the biscuit would go on this test piece. You should have some sort of a test piece. This is just plywood. I cut it to the dimension of the width, and it is approximately the thickness of my oak stock. All right, now I measured over here from this point, I measured over 1.25 inches plus 1/16, which is about 5/16. So 1 inch and 5/16. Now on this biscuit joiner, it's got several settings. All right, as you can see, I've got it set on 00. All right. There is no single 0 setting on this Frood biscuit joiner. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, Frood. I think it's made in Italy. So I'm going to have to come over from the point that we talked about, come over 1.25 inches plus, so 1 inch and 5/16. Make a mark. You're measuring from this point right here to where you're going to put the biscuit. Now this particular joiner, biscuit joiner, has a small mark inside there, very difficult to see, but it's right in the middle, about where my finger is pointing. There's a red mark there, and that's the mark that you're going to put on your mark on your piece to make the biscuit. The reason why you have a practice piece is because if you put it in the wrong place, the biscuit, this cutter here, as you can see, the cutter is poking through there as I press this, but your cutter will cut a slot on the outside of your piece, and it won't look right because your biscuit and the glue and everything will come out of that. If that's what you want, that's up to you. So I made my mark. You got to hold down on this fence right here when you're cutting. Okay, as I look at it, it's okay. It didn't come through over here on this side, so it's good. And I cut these biscuits down so they would not interfere with the rabbet. I marked them to where they should be on my test piece and then cut them on the bandsaw. You can cut them with a chisel, you can cut them with a handsaw. I mean, how many different ways can you cut them? Jigsaw, whatever. One of the issues that I have a problem with on this particular joint here is that this frood has a 00 setting. All right, it's set on 00. All right, but these right here, these are single 0 biscuits. It's kind of hard to tell what it says on there, but this one right here, you might be able to see the 0 on there. I'll show you where it's at. I made it darker so that you can see it, but this is a single 0 biscuit. I don't remember when I bought that Frood biscuit joiner, but that's one of the issues I have with it. Now, I've got the biscuit in there. Don't put any glue in yet, but check your joint. These are not very tight joints. I saw on YouTube where a guy further refined the miter joints with a disc sander. You're going to have a really well-made disc sander that won't flex. One of the problems with a high-speed saw like that Ryobi miter saw is that the plate on that I talked about before, the plate flexes and vibrates, and this part of the joint which is right here, and this part of the joint will not close. It's not really tight joinery because I cut it with a miter saw. Even though I was careful to trim them more than once, I didn't just chop it down and that's it. But it still is off because that plate vibrates when it gets into the cut. So anyway, the bottom line is I've got decent miters and I'm going to put it together. Okay, I've got it set up to where it's getting ready to be glued, and as I told you before, maybe I mentioned it, I'm not sure, but I did a test fit, a dry fit, before I put the glue on. Alright, now these yellow pieces of paper on here and the tape, if you can see that, the tape and yellow pieces of paper so I can check it to see if it's square. When you got a one-man shop, you have to check it yourself. .31 5/16. I don't want to get glue all over my tape, so that's why I got the all over my tape measure, so that's why I got the tape and post-it notes on it. And here it is. It's exactly square. I didn't plan on that. That's the first time I checked it. But I have this kind of masking tape, and the reason why is I'm not going to use green or blue or some other pretty color, because this, I can see through it, and I can see my joint. Alright, that's it. Well, here's the frame after I got it done. It's all glued up, all dry. And we'll look at it after I take off the tape and maybe sand it a little bit. And here's the remainder of some of the glue. And I'll get that off with my chisel.